Welcome to my 11th session and the 10th class on kinematics. And today's class will be on projectiles. In the last class, we covered the first part of it. This will be the second part of projectiles. So I have drawn up a couple of things on the screen already because I didn't want to waste time on this. So let's do a quick recap now. So take a look at this part. So I have drawn a projectile. The body is initially at origin. After a certain time, it is at point 2. So we'll call this as point 1, point 2, point 3, and point 4. And accordingly, I have labeled them. So velocity at point 1 is v1, velocity at point 2 v2, and so on. Similarly, angle made with the horizontal surface is theta 1, theta 2, theta 3, and so on. So if you look at this motion here, if you look at this part, this is the actual motion, exactly how the ball is traveling. And if you see along its path, the velocity is changing, the angle is changing. So it's very difficult to understand how the ball is behaving or how the projectile is behaving. So in science, what we generally do is when we have such complex issues, we try to simplify it. And the best way to simplify a projectile problem is simply understanding how the motion of the ball works along the x and y axis. And if you see this part here, I have projected the ball on the x axis. So if you see at point 1 here, this is at point 1, what is happening is the velocity of the ball is v1 cos theta. Fair enough? Similarly, at point 2, it is v2 cos theta. At v3 cos theta, and so on. But please understand, since there is no force acting along the x component, the velocity will not change. Please recall Newton's law. Unless and until an external force is applied, there will be no change to the motion. If it is in motion, it will remain in motion. If it is in rest, it will remain at rest. So in this particular case, across the entire travel from the point of origin to the point of landing, the velocity of the ball along the x component will not change. It will remain as v1 cos theta or any of these values that I have mentioned here. It will be this or this or this. So get this very clear. Get the idea very, very clear. Now, the third section here is I have now projected the ball along the y component. And the behavior of the motion will be exactly as experienced by a ball tossed upwards, which is having a uniform acceleration downwards, which is equal to g. So the ball will behave in exactly the same way. So as it is tossed upwards, it has initial velocity of v1 sine theta, and since it is constantly having a force downward of mg, it will decelerate, reach the topmost point here, and then come down. So along the x-axis, it's uniform velocity, and for the ball being tossed upwards, you will have uniform acceleration acting on the ball. I hope you get the idea very clear. So uniform velocity and uniform acceleration. Now with this understanding, let's jump into some derivations. So let me draw it here like this. This is the projectile. Let this be theta. Let this be v. And we know this is v cos theta and this is v sine theta. Now let's say the first task is to find out the range. So if I toss a ball, or if there is a projectile which is projected in an angle theta degrees, what will be the range that the ball or the object will cover? So if we have to find out this, what will we do? We know that range or distance covered is equal to velocity into time. So in this case, we know the velocity along the x-axis, which is v cos theta, into time. But do we know the time? We don't know the time. But is there a way we can calculate? Yes, because we know that when the ball is being, if you project the ball along the y component, all we need to find out is what will be the time for the ball to go up along the y component and come down. That's all. So if we can, and I said this, the ball's behavior along the y component will be just as the ball experiencing a constant acceleration of g downwards. So let's do that now. So can we apply our formula here, which we studied earlier? S is equal to ut plus half at square. So what is happening is the ball goes up, comes down, right? So what is, so along the y axis, what is s? S is 0. What is its initial velocity? It is v sine theta. What is acceleration a? We'll take it as, since it is downwards, so let's take it as minus g, correct? And of course time is, we need to calculate time. So shall we apply it here? So it is 0 is equal to v sine theta into t plus half g t square. Clear enough? So this implies, what will be t? Our t will be equal to 2v sine theta by g. Clear enough? So we have just found out what will be the total time for the ball to take this path and reach the ground back. So starting point A, ending point B. So the total time taken is t is equal to 2v sine theta by g. So we know v and theta is known, and g is acceleration due to gravity, which is 9.81, which we know. Now that we know t, can we go ahead and apply it in our formula here? We can do that, right? So let's go and apply this. So this will be equal to, let me do it in a different color. So range now will be equal to v cos theta into time is 2v sine theta by g. Clear? So if we further simplify this, what will we get? This implies, this can be written in this, so we can write this as v square 2 sine theta cos theta by g, right? Therefore this implies v square sine 2 theta by g, and this is your range, right? Now by trigonometry we know that 2 sine theta cos theta is equal to sine 2 theta. Please verify this from your maths course on trigonometry. So we find out that the range is v square sine 2 theta by g. So isn't it very simple? So we found out range here, and of course we found out time here. Now of course this was a case where the ball was projected from the ground here and it landed at the ground here. Now let us look at another scenario, and I advise you particularly in this chapter, just understand the formulas very well, because every time the treatment may be different from problem to problem. So you might sometimes have to take different flavors of the formula or you may even need to derive a formula quickly to actually attack a problem. So let's look at a different case scenario here. Now let us assume that now we have a platform here, and a ball is just projected this way. Okay, now let us assume this to be S, and this ball was projected sidewards with a velocity v. Okay, there is no angle, it is just projected horizontally with an angle v, and this is your ground. Now what happens in such a case is, and suppose we have to find out the range here, we have to find out how far the ball has fallen from the ground. So what we'll do is, again, what we need to do, obviously we know that since the ball is now projected along the x-axis, we know that in this particular case Vx is equal to V itself, because there is no angle of projection, it is just, or the angle is theta, or the angle is 0 degrees. So even if you take V cos theta, you will get V cos 0, which is nothing but V, straightforward. Okay, so there is no change in V. Now, of course, again, to find out the range, we need V into T, and T is something we don't know. But again, how we can calculate T? By simply taking the component of this particular ball along this component. So now what will happen is, along the y component, initially the ball is at a speed of v sine theta, right? And what is theta? Theta in this case is 0 degrees. Theta is equal to 0 degrees. Therefore, v sine theta will be equal to v sine 0, which is equal to 0. Therefore, the ball's velocity initially along the y-axis is equal to 0. Clear? And so we know initial velocity is 0. So again we can apply our formula, S is equal to ut plus half at square. Now in this particular case, g is acting downwards, everything is downwards, so we don't need to bother about the sign convention, because there is going to be no confusion here. So but what is our S now? So S is something which is, we leave it as S. We are going to find out time here, right? So S is as it is. And what is your initial velocity? Initial velocity is 0. So this term becomes 0. So we are only left with this, that is equal to half. So this is g and t square. Therefore this becomes 2s by g under root. So this is your time, right? So we have found out the time the ball will take to land down. So now that we know time, all we need to do is apply it here. Therefore range will be equal to now v into 2s by g under root. So you get the idea, right? So it's not very complicated. Please understand the basic idea here. And what I advise is, when you do problems on projectile, if you really see, you barring remembering a few formulas like this one, and possibly the time taken which we computed here, there is nothing much that you need to remember, because problems will be put to you in different ways. So you will have to use your basic core idea that velocity always along this is constant, and velocity along this will change because it is a constant force acting downwards, which is equal to mg. So that's all you need to remember. Now before I go, there is one important thing I wanted to discuss. I think I just missed that out. That is on the maximum range. Just a moment. So we computed here, what is your range? Yes. So we derived the formula for range as this, right? Now, if you see, at what theta will R be maximum? For any given value of V, at what theta will R be maximum, range be maximum? You can very clearly see, if theta is 45 degrees, so 45 into 2 will be equal to 90, and 90 sine 90 is 1. Therefore, for theta is equal to 45 degrees, range is always always maximum. Therefore, if I have to give you a very practical application, if you have to throw a ball and your arms can exert only a fixed F, always throw it at an angle of 45 degrees so that you will get the maximum range. If you do it at 60 degrees, it will fall here. If you do it at 30 degrees, it will fall here. So this is the maximum range. Understand this. Understand this. That is the reason when you, I'll give you another very practical example, especially in long jump. You will generally have the contestant coming in great speed. Okay, he comes and then he tries to lift himself. Just if this is the line, he tries to launch himself upwards at an angle of 45 degrees, because for any given speed, if you want to get maximum range, you have to launch at 45 degrees. And why it is so? As we have seen here, because if this is the formula for range, to get maximum R, theta has to be 45 degrees. I hope you get the idea. So I'll not take this any further, and I'll see you in the next class. Thank you.